Oshisha and Ekabo. Welcome to another live stream of the Ifa Orisha tradition discussion. And before I get into this week's live stream, let me first offer the Iba. Open ni fun Oludumare Oba Jeki Mojuloni Mogun Meriaye Iba Ila Orun Iba Iwo Orun Iba Ariwa Iba Gusu Iba Oba Egba Aye Iba Orun Okay Iba Baba Iba Yeye Iba Atiwo Orun Iba She Igungun Kiki Igungun Iba She Ori Ori Inu Ipori Atiwo Orun Ashe Ashe Ashe. All right. So I want to discuss maybe one or two things on this live stream, this edition of the Orisha tradition discussion. We're gonna first discuss what is an Oriki. All right. In the tradition, you would hear people talk about reciting Orikis. All right. In Trinidad, the practice of the Orisha tradition has maintained largely most aspects of the Ifa Orisha tradition. One of the things that is highly notable, that marks a recognizable difference between what we do here and what is done in other parts of the world, including Nigeria, is we sing all of the various Orikis and chants. All right. A lot of focus in our practice here does not include the reciting of verses and that type of thing. All right. We sing practically all our invocations, evocations, as well as the entertaining songs for the energies. All right. Now, the question I'm going to address is, what is Oriki? The word Oriki in its extended form is actually Oriki, all right, which is a call for consciousness. So Oriki has been shortened to Oriki. All right, now let's go into some explanation. Is an Oriki a prayer? We may want to ask, what is an Oriki? And then, is an Oriki a prayer? All right. An Oriki is different from a prayer in its characteristic makeup. All right. It is similar in the sense that what you actually doing is you are using your words to appeal to the divinity or the divine force that most people call by local names. In English, we say the term God. Now, the fundamental difference between just praying and using Oriki is within the structural apparatus of an Oriki. Now, in English, there are a few words that we can use that will describe some aspects of Oriki. One of these words is the term eulogy. Now, this term is generally used in association in Trinidad with burying the dead. During the ceremony or the rituals associated with burying the dead, normally you would have someone read what is called a eulogy. Now, what is actually a eulogy? A eulogy is true words of praise. So normally when you attend a funeral and the eulogy is being read, it would speak about all the nice things about the person who is being interred. Which sort of brings to mind a story that I once heard. I heard there was a funeral and the person who was being buried had a family, so his wife and his children were present at the funeral. So while the eulogy was being read by the priest who was performing the ceremony for the man who has transitioned, he was saying that the man was such a kind and generous and caring and loving, and he was always welcomed wherever he went, and he was liked by everyone. So while the priest was saying all these wonderful things about the person, the wife turns to her children and she says to one of them, "Can you please go up and see if that is your father in that casket there, please?" Because she couldn't believe the things she was hearing, because that apparently wasn't the husband that she knew. All right, so that's just a joke. But it's a joke to give you an idea as to what are normally the contents of a eulogy. The contents of a eulogy is normally words of praise. All right, and when we chant Orikis, they are normally words of praise that is being given to the energy to which these chants, recitation, or verses in some cases are being addressed to. All right? Why would you give words of praise to someone or to an energy? That's the other logical question. And the answer is pretty simple. I would use an example of normal human relations. Okay? If you would like to have a favor bestowed upon you and you have to go to ask your boss on your job, maybe for a promotion, a raise in pay, you need some time off, whatever it might be. But in approaching your boss, what you would do is you would try to firstly make sure that you're straight, make sure everything good with you, make sure you're doing all your responsibilities on the job really good, you know. And then when you go to the boss, you may say, "Wow, how are you this morning, sir? Wow, I noticed that tie. It is such a lovely tie you have on, and it matches your cuffs." You know, not that you have to say any of those things. Yes, you know, he normally wears a decent ties matching the cuffs anyway. But why would you say these nice words to your supervisor or your boss or your employer? You would say these nice words and praiseworthy type words because you want to receive a favorable response in whatever favor you are asking of your boss. In like manner, when Orikis are chanted, they normally speaks about or address noteworthy aspects of the character that they wish to receive the attention of. So they would speak in a very honorable way about the energy, recalling historically events that they would have participated in that are noteworthy and that are worthy of praise. All right. One of the terms we use to describe these types of orikis, which we compare now to a eulogy, is called an honorific. The reason it's called an honorific is because you are paying respects to that particular energy. Another word that comes to mind that describes an oriki, but a different aspect of it, is the word panegyric. All right, you all could check the dictionary. The word is spelled P-A-N-A-G-Y-R-I-C. And the question is, what is a panegyric? A panegyric is basically praise also, as with a eulogy, being bestowed upon a person. All right? Now, the word panegyric comes from the Greek word panegyrikos, which means a speech. All right? Now, in addition to panegyrics, all right, which also too implies that it is something euphonic and rhythmic. The other word that we can look at that gives a facet of Oriki is the word flyting. All right? Now, the question is going to be, what is flyting? Flyting is a ritual, a poetic exchange, right? Which was practiced back in the 5th and 16th century. All right? Normally now, and this is very interesting too, because we see other spin-offs of Oriki as the practice of some aspect of our culture. Because even in flyting, flyting can also refer to a poetic exchange of insults practiced during the time that I just mentioned, the 5th and the 16th century. In some cases, it would be a part of a contest consisting of an exchange of insults between two parties, often conducted in verses. So you would have one person sing a verse, insulting the one person using picong, as what we call it locally, and the other person, when it's their turn, they would now exchange an insult, and it would go back and forward. Now, for people who are familiar with the culture of Trinidad, they would know we have extempo competitions where people are allowed to sing on each other or to make jokes about each other. All right? In the definition of flyting, they use the word insults. But in Trinidad's culture, we take it a lot more casually. All right? Humorous, but not too offensive. So we may not want to reach as far as refer to it as insults. All right? Now, the word Oriki, as a result, describes a complex combination of our historic and spiritual tradition, which causes the elevation of our Ori by calling a specific ancestor or energy to help elevate us through their guidance and spiritual assistance. This is achieved through cleverly crafting and interweaving in an artistic way our history, flattery, requests, thanks, using poetry, songs, and chants. with sayings and euphemisms to call for help and to activate our latent DNA cells and memories. All right? So that is a kind of comprehensive definition of what Oriki is and what an Oriki does. All right? When we sing here in Trinidad, we acknowledge these facts. We sing, for example, and I'm going to give an example in a song that we use. We sing for the Igungun, and we would sing Ara Ru Kiki. Now, let me expand what it is we sing. What we actually are saying is Ara Kin Kin, which means residents of heaven, we pay respect to you. So we shorten Ara Kin In to Ara Ru, and that Ru is an abbreviated form of Orun, Kiki, which is Kin, and then we add Mojuba. All right? So we would say Araru Kiki. All right? So that is an example of how we actually apply and practice the art of Oriki based on its structure, its apparatus, because it works to produce specific results. So we could even refer to it as an apparatus. This is how we apply the use of Oriki in Trinidad, and as I mentioned at the beginning, in song. All right? So that really is the main lesson for today. But I just want to speak in general on a couple of other things, right? In the future, we would be starting to get into some heavy discussions concerning community, all right? Because it's very, very, very important for the members of our community to comprehend the idea of what is really a community and what is the function of a community and what the members of a community should know so that they would be able to fulfill their role and their function within the framework of a community. Now, we would always say we are members of the Ifa Orisha community. We could look at other communities that exist, and then you would see that most of these communities have some level of sustenance. They have some sort of economic base. They have some measure of cooperative economics, where they own businesses that is heavily supported by members of that community. The idea of community must ensure the ability of its members to survive, and that could only occur when people join resources and work cooperatively for the benefit of the entire community. So those concepts and ideas like sustainability, things like our environment are also things we must look at. Providing foods and essential services for our members of our community. We have to start very, very seriously looking at these things. All right? So that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. And last but not least, let me talk a little bit about Ile Ijuba Ode Otun, which is the name of our shrine. The Ile Ijuba Ode Otun, beside being on Facebook, we are also on YouTube. So for persons wanting to see some of the lectures I do here and other lectures that I may have done over an extended period of time, you can visit Ile Ijuba Ode Otun on Facebook. I think I have like about 30 videos or 20-something videos on there. You can also visit Ifa Bemero, Home of Ifa Orisha Tradition on YouTube, because we have 2 channels. And on that particular channel, we have like 140-something videos, starting with my earliest videos where I had the Ifa Bemero show, right? We also had the Ifa Orisha discussion show where myself and Daniel John was on that show. We also had a health-related show where myself and Dr. Ingrid used to do shows on health. So all of these videos are located in Ifa Bemero, Home of Ifa Orisha on YouTube. You can go there, subscribe, view the videos, and you can also share the videos. And again, we also on Ile Ijuba Ode Otun. Now, in terms of Facebook, we have many Ifa Orisha platforms. Much too much for me to even mention all of them. All right, but I would mention a few. We have the Ifa Orisha community message board, which every member of the community should join, because that is where you're updated on all the activities and all the important things that is happening in the community. All right, we have the Ifa Orisha tradition discussion group. We have Ifa Orisha Community Congress. We have the metaphysical group. We have the teaching group. We have the International Herb group also on Facebook. So we do quite a bit of work on social media. And for persons who are interested in learning more about Ifa, we also offer classes, right? Virtual classes where you would be able to attend for maybe about 4 weeks, where you learn all that you need to know about the fundamentals of Ifa. In that forum, we answer questions. Unlike these videos that I do for the Ifa Orisha discussion, I just simply present the information. This is not really the forum where you're allowed to ask questions, but for persons having questions, you can join the Ifa Orisha, the Fundamentals of Ifa classes, which is held every Thursday between 6 and 7. All you have to do is message me and I would register you. We also have free Ishefa classes, and now we have free Itefa and Iteladu preparation classes. We will be having initiations next year where my Olowo would be flying into Trinidad to initiate persons who are interested, who are desirous of becoming a part of the community and also a part of the Ile Ijuba Ode Otun shrine. All right. With that, I would like to thank everyone for stopping in. All right. And my word of encouragement week after week, and this is very important, is that you do good for yourself. You do bad for yourself. All right. As I come on every Tuesday, sometimes I don't be on a Tuesday, depending on where we are. I try to come on at least twice for the month, and I try to come on every Friday. All right. If I am not on every single Tuesday, look for me at least 2 Tuesdays of each month. But I should be on every Friday, unless, something else more important comes up. Also, you can look for us on all social media platforms, because that's something we would be embarking on from January, where you're going to be able to get us on TikTok, on Instagram, everywhere that there's a platform. We're going to start doing work from that platform, right? Hopefully, too, we might be introducing a few more programs where you would have an opportunity to hear and see some of our officials from the community, and we're going to have a chance to get to know them a little better through us doing live interviews. All right, with that, I would like to say Odabo and see you on Friday.